Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching. It is currently May the 8th. It is 12:26 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. News done differently. A very happy Mother's Day to all of you out there. Um, Regardless of whether you're a mom, a single dad, a lot of situations where um, people have earned the title mom. So happy Mother's Day to all of you. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have given birth or even have a child involved, because if you've got a if you've got a pet, then you got a responsibility. So happy Mom's Day to everybody. And even those of you that are like, I have absolutely no connection to Mother's Day, happy Mom's Day to you too. It's news done differently. A lot of things going on, and I'm going to try to not rush through it. But first thing I want to talk about is my book. All right, I my latest novel is America, Land of the Greed, Home of the Grave, and it's a good story, but there's some important stuff in there too, tied into the stories, the plots and subplots that intertwine into the story. I read the first chapter live the other night. You can go back and listen. If you haven't already heard it, I wish you would go back and listen. Um, and the first chapter in anything of that length is like the format, the foundation. It tells you, well, in this case, it gives you one of the anti-heroes who is identified right off the bat. It gives you one of the young heroes. It gives you two of the villains. It gives you what they are planning on doing, which is incredibly close to current events. Gives you why they're planning on doing it. They want a white, straight, male dominated society the way it's always been since the founding fathers, in their eyes. And the people who try to stop them. So that's basically what the book's about. Buy the book, please. It's on sale now. I think it's on sale. $15, I think, is what it's on sale for now. You can get it at Amazon. The link's in the description, and it'll probably be banned at some point, because a lot of different characters in the book. Some of the protagonists, some of the heroes and anti-heroes are of different communities. A lot of different communities of color represented in the book. Different sexes represented in the book. There's a gay FBI agent in the book. And not only all of those things, but other things in the book. There are a couple of not any by the book. I'll leave it at that. By the book. I've already talked more about it than I intended to, because as I said, it's now 12:30 on the 8th day of May, and that means it is 7:30 a.m. on the 8th day of May in Russia. And for the next 24 hours, we've got to keep an eye. I've got to keep an eye on Russia. Something. If something is going to happen on a major scale, such as something that will capture the world's attention, the next 24 hours is a prime time for that to happen. And stay with me, and I'll explain why. First, I'm going to start out with just a cool little science thing here before we get to some news. This happened on March the 4th, and it's actually not really. I mean, it's a fascinating shot that we're about to see here as far as film, but to me, it's troubling. Watch up here in your corner. That was part of a SpaceX rocket, one of Elon Musk's rockets that was like space debris, and impacted the moon on March the 4th. They've been tracking it. They knew it was going to go in. The thing that's troubling to me is this gives you a good idea, if you can imagine in your head, scale expanded, what an impact would be on Earth if something were heading towards Earth. Speaking of which, last night I did something I haven't done in a long time. I sat down and watched a movie, and the movie I watched was called Don't Look Up. And ironically, it's about a comet that's coming to hit Earth on the surface. All right. The comet is only a vehicle. The movie is about what's going on in our world right now and how the important things are not important and the unimportant things are incredibly important, about how fractured things are and how politicized things are. It's a good movie. I recommend you watch it. If you don't have access any other way to watch it, send me an email and I'll send you a link where you can watch it for free. So that's again, this gives you an idea of what an impact would do on Earth, because there's no water on the moon. Everybody knows that. If this hits in the water with the power we see there, if something hits us with the power we see there, we're talking tremendous tidal waves and mass destruction. It's probably not going to be end of Earth, an extinction event, something of this size. But again, scaling it out, because the moon is much smaller than we are on Earth, and just the incredible shot. Again, but it's also very very alarming to me, as is our next segment here. Okay, I can't do that just yet. Here we go. Again, thank you for watching. If you're watching live, I know a lot of people, I'm not normally on at this time, so a lot of people will be watching the replay that normally watch the program. So hello to everybody watching wherever you're at, no matter what platform you're on, or if you're watching it live or if you're watching the playback. I greatly appreciate it. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share, all of those things. Hit the notification bell. This happened a few days back.
Wait, oh my God! What you do? Sir! Oh my God! He's busting out! Oh my God! Sir! Stop! Stop!
This happened a couple of days ago in St. Charles Parish, Louisiana. And this was Sheriff's Deputy Henry Still. This comes from Ben Crump, trial lawyer, and been involved in many high-profile cases. The deputy allegedly threw Mary Lee Brennan Robinson into the building and punched her for allegedly interfering and recording her brother's arrest. I bring this to attention, obviously, because it's incredibly wrong treatment, but that's not breaking news. Let's be honest, as sad as that is to say. We've seen way too much of this kind of stuff. And she is getting attacked because she was filming what police were doing. Keep that in mind. That should be, as he puts it, aiding transparency of a police incident. But if you're a live streamer, if you are suddenly find yourself a citizen journalist, as with everything, keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel. That's how our episode starts tonight. Several students were facing punishment at Illinois school after a Nazi flag was found, according to WGNY. We got that a little bit ago. Originally broke on Raw Story on May the 4th. I want to buzz past that. That is, I got some information leaked that, never mind. Pay no attention to what that was. An Idaho patriot group is going to go head to head against a gay pride parade in Idaho. This is coming up in June. They were at a church, and basically, if they want to have a war, let it begin here. Patriot group promises to go head to head against the pride in the park. They're trying to take your children. Ultra conservative Idaho State Rep Heather Scott held a forum Thursday titled "Game Plan to Remove Inappropriate Materials from Our Schools and Libraries." There's a war going on, and the scariest thing about this war is that these tactics are being waged against society. Most people are just unaware it is even happening. It's good versus evil. I'm not sure how the battle's going to end, but I'm going to be always go back to is all evil needs is good men to do nothing. So they're part of what's known as the Panhandle Patriots Riding Club, and they are planning to hold their own event in the same park at the same time. And I believe it's June 10th in Coeur d'Alene. That's the name of the park. So we will be monitoring that as that draws near, because it's just the old song, battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. The battle lines are being drawn. And at the moment, one side is registering people to vote and looking forward to supporting candidates in an election. And there are those on the other side who are anxious to kill their opposition. the battle lines are being drawn, and one side is preparing, and the other side is hopeful that there will always be peace and that democracy wins out. And I'm hopeful of that too. But the battle lines are being drawn, and both sides are going to think they're right. Okay, both sides are going to think they're good and the other side's evil. They're good and the other side's evil. Battle lines being drawn, and nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Everybody's wrong because there shouldn't be battle lines being drawn. How do we walk that back? How do we get away from that? Exposing the truth is the only thing I know to do and what I'm trying to do and try to do. But are we in 1984? Is the truth the lie? Is war peace? Is slavery freedom? Is ignorance strength? Here's a look at the Idaho Patriots group. And when I flipped to the other screen, it took me off. So again, it's a different software. This is a look at the Trump rally last night, actually Friday night. It's still Saturday night to me. Technically, it's not, but Dr. Oz got introduced, and people in the front row, the front few rows anyway, stood up and turned their backs, and everybody else just remained seated. They don't like Dr. Oz. The true diehard Trump people don't like Dr. Oz. This is a story of InfoWars. InfoWars is Alex Jones, the conspiracy theorist, who we had footage of him going demonic the other night. One of his proteges, Paul Joseph Watson, calling to wipe the Jews off of the face of the earth. A lot of people are leaving Christianity, and they're leaving Christianity for the wrong reason. They're leaving, they're saying they're leaving Christianity, and they're leaving Christianity for the wrong reason. They need to leave the churches that are forcing them to leave Christianity. Don't leave Christianity. And email me if you want to talk about that, because that's not what this is about at this time. But if you're a believer in Jesus, as I am, you can see that none of this is Christian, and I know you can, and those of you that are right now saying, yeah, but it's that yeah, but that is going to bite you in the end. Repent. You never know when the time comes. You never know when your individual time comes. You never know when the absolute end of everything comes. So 11 things to do. 10 commandments God gave us. Jesus gave us one. Live by those. Do good. Be a light. Don't worry about churches. Don't worry about what other people think about you, because what other people think about you is not going to matter at all if you are a believer and know that a judgment will eventually come for that life beyond this body. Do good. 11 commandments. 10, and the greatest of all, love one another as you would love to be loved. Love one another with the love that you imagine Jesus must love you for if you're a Christian. Wiping everybody off the face of the earth, no matter who tells you that, it's anti-Christian. That's anti-Christian. In Samuel Alito's draft to Amy Coney Barrett, it says that they need a domestic supply of infants. No matter what side you are on the issue of a woman's right to choose, you have to start going, wait a minute. First of all, not allowing abortions when the mom's going to die. And there are a lot of people that just automatically go, yeah. That's not being pro-life. That's being pro-unborn child. And Genesis says, when I breathe life into you, that's when you came to life. Now, I'm not pro-abortion. I'm pro a woman's right, along with her doctor, to do what's best for her health, and it's her decision. Okay? I don't want everybody aborting, blah, blah. No. Every situation is different. Every single situation is different. And some make choices that others disagree with. But it's not your choice. It's their choice and their life to live, and their guilt if that's what you're hoping for upon them, or their freedom from and beginning to heal from a rape, if that's what the case. And that's their side of it. There's enough going on to try to just live a good life without worrying about judging others. Just something to think about. Dr. Oz, as you can see, there's like 4 signs here and everybody's sitting down. Not a lot of enthusiasm. Of course, it was pouring down rain the whole time, which I'm going to get to in just a second. Here's what Oz had to say.
I went to war in a big way with big tech. You know why? They were selling children online. And it was legal. It was legal. We changed that. And I went to...
You got a question. Does he believe this, or is he saying this because he believes they will believe that? He's trying real hard to be MAGA, and they're not buying it. Why does that matter? We'll get to that. Nuclear war threat drives a greater divide between the U.S. and China. As if there aren't enough things going on geopolitically. Some saber rattling has been going on between our country and China. One of everybody's favorite episodes is, and Julia loves that you all love this. Russia's ready to go back to the communist system.
Нынешняя система, экономическая рыночная система, непригодна для решения задач обеспечения действий вооруженных сил. и вообще страны в этих условиях. Необходимо переходить на рельсы некой другой системы, которую я условно называю системой военного социализма, но ее можно изменить как любое другое наименование. Так или иначе, речь идет о том, что все, без исключения, стратегические ресурсы, как земля, предприятия, все остальное, должны находиться под государственным контролем и развиваться в соответствии с централизованным планом. Но без этого не обеспечить. Вы анализировали вот, хотя бы даже объемы огневых задач, которые решает сейчас наша артиллерия. 1500-600 огневых задач. Каждая огневая задача – это минимум 40-50 снарядов. Умножим. 50 тысяч снарядов получается в день. На всякий случай. Их надо произвести. Ракетные залпы. Да, их надо производить. В день расходуется от 5-6 до 10-15 ракет. Так, их надо производить. Мы столько произведем сейчас в день, 5-6. Поэтому уже даже сейчас, вот в этих условиях, при этом конфликте, нам нужно экстренно переводить промышленность, нашу промышленность, на военные рельсы.
Okay. The reason I played that was twofold, to show you that, you know, what they're saying in Russia, and also because
Нынешняя система.
I don't want you saying that again. There's a little hint in there. They realize that they can't keep up. They can't keep up with making as much ammunition as they're constantly using, and they're not using their ammunition in many cases effectively. And number one, they're calling for government control of everything. They're calling to go back to communism, because the people calling for it aren't going to go back to communism. Okay, the people calling for it are going to keep their luxury yachts that haven't been seized yet, and their villas that haven't been seized yet. The rest of the country, you're going back into communism. Okay, for the good of the war. Watching Russia for the next 24 hours. Things aren't going good, as you could tell. These guys are admitting on TV to Russia that things aren't going good. Again, there was a Trump rally last night. There were hundreds of people there, maybe 600-700 people there. And here are the conditions that they're living in. Now, number one, the first thought by many is going to be, what farging idiots they are to be out there trying to navigate this stuff, to hear an ex-president. And you would be correct. Why would you do this? Why would you do this for anything, let alone for Donald Trump? But the second thing it shows us is the absolute dedication and reverence, worship almost they have for Donald Trump. It's a small number. Okay, let's just take J.D. Vance, the guy that won the Senate race in Ohio. He had 30% of the Republican vote. So, and he's Trump's man, and he was nothing until Trump went in there and did it. And Trump will tell you. I could play the clip for you, but I'm not going to. You can probably envision Trump taking credit for everything, including J.D. Vance. And he probably did it deservedly this time, because the guy wasn't doing much until Trump stepped in. Actually, Peter Thiel stepped in with $10 million. And Trump gave the endorsement, and Trump took the credit. So let's just use that. 30% of the Republican vote in a primary. So if you factor that out through a general, that's about 18% of the vote. So the media, the Trumpers themselves, everybody's overplaying how much power Trump really has. And it really makes me wonder why. Because at the polls, it's, his people are winning, but they're winning in districts that Republicans always win. And he's claiming a lot of power. Is the entire Republican Party behind all that? I don't think so. I think they're still trying to stop this. They realized they should have stopped it right after January 6th. When all that went down, they should have went, whoa, and started distancing themselves. Instead, they voted in the Senate not to hold him accountable. And now they're trying to defang the tiger, if you will, declaw the tiger, if you will. And he's got a small but incredibly loyal minority in the Republican Party. How much power they have? He's got a lot of rich friends. Will it be like taking the mark of the beast for the Republicans, that they have to bow down and kiss the ring of Trump in order to get elected? That's what he's trying to portray. I don't think it is, but it could turn out to be, with the aid of media especially. And it's something we need to think about for our democracy. A lot of talk, always a lot of talk about what the founding fathers said. Okay. Here's what one of the founding fathers' wives said. Remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. Do not put such unlimited power into the hands of the husbands. Remember, all men would be tyrants if they could. If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation. That's from Abigail Adams. I don't talk a lot about women's issues or anything along those lines normally, because I don't want to come off as if I'm like mansplaining what's happening or something, like I understand it better than a woman would, because that's not the case. So I don't talk about it a lot. But why I highlighted this little segment, I'm not sure how many people are aware of what I'm about to share here. Again, thank you all for watching. And if you're watching in YouTube, I don't have the chat up. So if you're watching in YouTube and you're in the chat, thank you very much. No matter where you're at, feel free to leave a comment. Here, let's go to this first. The men's rights movement, or the MRM, which is made up of different groups, and their spokesmen are MRA, men's right activists. Scholars describe the movement as a backlash against feminism as part of the manosphere. The movement and sectors of the movement had been described by scholars and commentators as misogynistic, hateful, and in some cases as advancing violence, advocating violence against women. The Southern Poverty Law Center categorized some of these men's rights groups as being part of a hate ideology under the umbrella of male white supremacy. And this is not all men's groups, okay? Let me make that real clear first. And not all men think like this. But I don't know how many people are aware that there are these men's groups, and they do think like this. And one of the things to kind of an inside thing that I've learned is the red pill, blue pill thing from the Matrix. And it's take the red pill, and do not allow the females to dominate. As insane as that sounds, there are more than a few who believe that way. Let me switch screens here again. And I just Googled anti-female groups, okay? Again, the male supremacy from the Southern Poverty Law Center. Right-wing anti-feminist groups, anti-feminism, the rise of male supremacy groups, women against feminism, and analysis of anti-feminists when women are the enemy, the intersection of misogyny. Every day, as virulent white supremacists make their hatred known, we immediately and rightly call them extremists. We have not been nearly as unequivocal about some of the white male supremacy. So I just wanted, I'm not, I hope none of this was offensive. I hope it was informative. That was the condition. It's not, and if I'm telling you something, you already know, I apologize for that, but this is for those that didn't know. Okay. So back to the news. Brett Kavanaugh, his neighbors have organized a protest outside his home, and he's basically said he's not going to be civil to his next door neighbor. We're waiting to see what exactly that means. They don't like Dr. Oz in the MAGA movement. This might have something to do with it. Dr. Oz lives in New Jersey. He voted in the 2018 Turkish elections. That's in the country of Turkey. He went to Turkey as a citizen of Turkey and voted in the Turkey elections, and then claimed never been politically involved in Turkey in any way. Okay. So he lives in New Jersey and he wants to represent Pennsylvania. I don't know how many people are aware of that most of the people that are representing you are not from anywhere near where you are. And they want to stay as far away from where you are as they possibly can, and only come back there when it's time to raise money or to coerce you to vote. We showed the flag that was found in the bathroom of the Illinois school near the beginning of this episode. There's protests going on in Washington, D.C. I'm sorry, of course there are protests going on in Washington, D.C. Protests have been happening at Walt Disney World. They closed off the entrance several times. And now you can see the mask is coming off. Certain segments of the Trump white salt army are self-identifying. Okay, these aren't isolated incidents. Okay, shown you two just in this episode. And yes, it's Walt Disney World, Orlando, Florida. And yes, it's been the scene of MAGA and other threats of violence against people trying to just get in and go to Disney World. Just something to think about. Republicans oust ex-Trump aide and ban him from holding a Republican office ever again. This is why I say that there are still those in the Republican Party that are trying to fight for the existence of the traditional Republican Party. They brought this on their own, brought it on themselves. The Republicans did. I'm speaking strictly as a political analyst at the moment. Okay. Republicans brought this on themselves. It goes back to a time when Dick Lugar was senator from Indiana, but he wasn't. He worked with Democrats on legislation that was for the good of all America, and he was one of my political heroes. He was my Republican political hero, and his counterpart, Birch Bayh, was my Democrat political hero, Evan Bayh's dad. Okay, Evan, I like Evan. His wife Susan, we campaigned anyway. The Republican Party, the Tea Party, if you remember the Tea Party is responsible for all this. It's taken them years to get where they planned to go, but they took the time and they built this thing. And now it's like this big cancer that the traditional Republicans are going, man, we should have stopped this a long time ago, and that's why you see this stuff coming out about Madison Cawthorn. This is why you're going to see stuff coming out about Lauren Boebert, the woman that didn't graduate high school and became a congressperson because of guns. They're going to start dropping stuff on Matt Gaetz, Trump himself, and they're going to try to purge this out. I hope they do, because it's a threat to peace in our country. And I hope you can see that. I hope you can see this guy right here, and those that we showed you a clip of a rally a couple of weeks back where he was telling people they're going to have to die for him. Okay. And they were all cheering. If he would have asked them to kill for him, the cheers would still be ringing out, because there are people incredibly ready for that. Throwing it back over. This is a 24-year-old in Ukraine. Normally she's a graphic designer, and her quote is, "Now my home is wherever I have to spend the night. It's where I left my backpack. I live there." This is from Texas this afternoon, 10 hours ago. The Democrat nominee for the governor of Texas is Beto O'Rourke. He ran for Senate down there against Ted Cruz. And he's running for governor now against Greg Abbott. Abbott's going to go to the Supreme Court and ask them to rule that the states are not responsible for public education anymore. He's going to try to target specifically communities of color. Okay. I don't know how else to say it. Beto O'Rourke drew quite the crowd. A lot more there, a lot more at this gathering than at the Trump rally. A lot more. I see that, and they see that. Okay. Now, I see it as if I'm an outside observer to this. Democrats see this as hopeful. Look at that crowd, as hopeful. You know, we might even take Texas back, all because of a woman's right to choose. Remember what I showed you before. Remember the anti-feminism from women, okay? Remember the the manosphere group, okay? Now, Republicans are going to see this and they're going to be threatened. Democrats see this and they are pumped up. One side is preparing to vote and register to vote, and I hope we have an election in November. I really do. I really do. I hope it's not stopped. I hope it's not. I hope things don't kick off before then. One side's preparing for it. They see the power in these numbers, and these numbers are just going to keep growing, and not just in Texas. And that's something we need to always be aware of. Something to not jump to conclusion it's going to happen. But one side's registering people to vote, and the other side's target practicing. Just something to think about. And then we've got this. Eric Erickson. He's a far right wing radio host, and he's just one of the far right wing radio hosts that are saying this stuff. My big issue with Roe has always been that abortion shouldn't be a constitutional right, but left to each state under federalism. But given the hysterics and the histrionics coming out about Dobbs, I'm starting to think we need to repeal the 19th Amendment. These people are nuts. The 19th Amendment gives women the right to vote, and they didn't have it 100 years ago. They've had it just over 100 years. Mitch McConnell now says that a nationwide ban on abortion is possible. Again, it's not going to stop. And why it concerns me so much, I'm not a woman, I'm not a doctor. I've got daughters, I've got granddaughters, I've got friends, I've got family members. All make their own choices, as it should be. Knowing that you're controlling somebody's health is a violation of privacy. Plain and simple, it's a violation of privacy. And if that violation of privacy is allowed in this situation, how many other situations is that violation of privacy going to be permitted? Even those of you that are pro-life, think about the privacy aspect of this. Now, maybe you're probably thinking, oh, that'll never impact me. Okay. I've been saying the next 24 hours, I'm going to keep an eye on Russia. If something big's going to happen, a probability it happens in the next 24 hours. This is, yes, get that off of there. May the 9th. It's currently probably 8:15. I don't know. I can't see the clock at the moment. It's early morning in Moscow, May the 8th. On May the 9th, they are going to have their victory parade. These are what you're seeing is basically a propaganda piece, getting people excited that this parade is going to be happening. Putin should be there to speak. He had ordered that Ukraine be captured by May the 9th or else turned into rubble. And we are advancing quickly upon May 9th. So if something, again, if he's going to do something potentially impactful to claim a victory other than a false victory, he's got to do it in the next 24 hours. That's why I'm going to be watching what's happening over there. And I hope nothing happens other than a normal situation. But it's been building up to this for a long time, and they possibly lost one, maybe two more Navy ships today. And it just it doesn't sit well with a fascist dictator who calls himself president if you keep losing Navy ships to a ship or to an enemy that doesn't have a navy. Anyway, I'll be watching it, so you don't have to. But if you're a subscriber, hit the notification bell. And if you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe. In a couple of days, you can go back and unsubscribe if you want, and hit the notification bell. We watch the radars. We watch the flight trackers. And if we will know if something, we will have a pretty good idea if something is going to go on. And if that's happening, here's a look at the I don't want the volume up there. Here's a look at what their normal military parades are like over there. And again, it's going to be happening about 24 hours from now is when this big military parade is going to kick off. They're going to have flyovers. They're going to break the Geneva Convention, and they're going to force POWs to march and have people insult them. And but they don't have a victory to celebrate on Victory Day, and that's what it's called. And I hope they don't massively try to destroy all of Ukraine in the next 24 hours, because the only way they could do that would be with weapons of mass destruction. This is an interesting take from Amy Vanderpool. She says the Supreme Court is telling us that if we are raped, become impregnated, and the pregnancy can kill us, that we deserve to die from an initial criminal attack that was never our choice to begin with. Our only worth as women is from reproduction. So older women have no value. I'm just sharing how one woman looks at the situation that our country is staged in right now. From the rally last night.
Pennsylvania is the Commonwealth where our founding fathers declared American energy independence. Think of that. You were the first ones many, many, many years ago.
I'm going to play this again. You heard what he said. You can hear it again the second time. It doesn't change. Here in Pennsylvania, where our founding fathers declared energy independence, they were using horses, and the horses ate grass, so they kind of had energy independence. This is such a this is it's such an oddball statement. I played it the first time. You heard him. Second time, and I basically said what he's going to say. Second time, watch the crowd. Look, his own people.
Pennsylvania is the Commonwealth where our founding fathers declared American energy independence. Think of that. You were the first ones many, many, many years ago.
His own people are like, what? There's no, he's talking to normally anytime your state is mentioned, somebody's going to be cheering. When you say Pennsylvania, somebody's going to be cheering. Especially this guy right here. This guy, they're like, what? But man, they love him. It's almost like some other kind of power that was involved in creating all this, and in somehow it being able to be marketed as good or a positive thing. We mentioned Brett Kavanaugh earlier. Kavanaugh asked if anyone has seen his briefcase. He said after work Friday, he dropped into a bar near the Supreme Court to have a few pops and inadvertently forgot to take his briefcase when he left. Something we need to keep an eye on. This, I wouldn't normally show this because it's, photoshopped hype, but it comes out of Mar-a-Lago from the Trump estate in Palm Beach, Florida. So when a coup attempt goes unpunished, it becomes a training exercise. Just something to think about. I'm incredibly troubled by the swastika up here. Trump's Hitler-like, and these are the same people that have had him as Rambo and massive body, and so something to think about. Be aware. Are you seeing it yet? Mickey Mouse Land, Illinois high school, Mar-a-Lago. We go back to Brett Kavanaugh one more time. As I said near the beginning of the episode here, they were planning a protest. His neighbor was holding a protest, and it was actually, and he was going to be upset with the man. Remember, I'm not going to be civil with that man. The man wasn't even out there. It was the man's wife. Okay, here's the whole story. The man's wife, next door neighbor, was having a one-person protest, and he was going to deal with the woman's husband. Like, why aren't you controlling your wife, kind of thing. Okay. And here's what it turned into earlier this evening. And they are vowing to do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it just keeps growing.
We will not go back. I see you, buddy. We will not go back. 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 I see you, buddy. We will not go back. We will not go back. We will not go back.
Okay. And again, this is outside in the rain in Chevy Chase, Maryland, and from 5 hours ago. So the Marsha Blackburn, the U.S. Senator, has proposed a plan wherein birth control should only be legal for married couples. Um, There's another guy that wants to outlaw condoms as well. These people are they're trying to out bizarre each other. It seems like let's see who can come up with the most. And too many people are lapping this up. If you haven't seen it, watch the movie Don't Look Up. If you haven't bought it, buy my book, America, Land of the Greed and Home of the Grave. I read the opening chapter the other night. In case you're just joining us, go back and read that or listen to that if you'd like. It's just kind of a setup. And introduces one of the anti-heroes, one of the heroes, two of the villains, sets up the basic plot, which is these two men have decided that they are basically going to overthrow the government, take over the country for the good of white, straight, basically rich men. And read the rest of it, okay? We've been talking, going to end with the science thing here. I've been talking for, I don't know, a few months now that we monitor Yellowstone. And from the looks of this picture, you must be thinking, oh my God. Actually, there's some decent news, in my opinion, decent news out of Yellowstone.
According to a 2017 research, the Yellowstone supervolcano may erupt sooner than initially assumed, although it'll most probably be a minor eruption. When
Okay, that's good news. All right.
Volcanoes erupt, they leave a trail of ash that blankets the earth and forms plumes.
I'm not going to play a bunch of sciencey stuff. I'm going to hope that you trust me. All right. And I'm going to kind of tell you. At one time, let's see, let me do this real simple. All right. They thought there were probably 3 to 5 past eruptions. All right. They now think, after new studies, they now think there may have been up to 10 previous eruptions, with one mega eruption, which reached 8 on the volcano scale, which, rarely ever happens. So while the timeline may suggest an eruption is possibly coming, it's not going to blow the whole thing. More than likely, it's not going to blow the whole thing up. It would be a minor eruption, still damaging, still loss of life, but more Mount St. Helens-ish than end of the world-ish. Okay, so that's good news. The reason for that is because they have found another layer of magma underneath that they didn't know about before, because of underground mapping, LIDAR, these kind of things, ground penetrating radars. They have a better idea what's underneath the volcano now. And there are 2 magma bowls underneath it, if you will, with a vent between the 2. So it allows for more lava flow in different directions. It also says that some of the harmonics we're hearing, because when you get an earth tremor that's volcanic or magma induced, it produces a harmonic wave, whereas if it's ground to ground, it's tectonic wave. Okay, so some of the harmonics are from an unknown chamber that was underneath. So I hope that, if there is an eruption, there will be warning. It'll be, talked about for a couple of days or so. So put that, let's check that one off the list of potential end of the world stuff for now, which is always a good thing if we can do one of those. Be nice if we could do one a week, get rid of the end of the world stuff every day, and by Sunday of next week we'd have peace and love on the world. It would be nice, but unfortunately that's not how things work. So thank you for watching, and it's the American Doofus channel. This is one of the episodes we call News Done Differently, and we talk about things in more depth, or talk about things being the only ones talking about it. And we're getting things suppressed. Just about every episode I get flagged for something, and it's getting harder and harder and harder to not get taken down. And I have a feeling, and it's not just me, okay? Other things are getting suppressed as well. And I have a feeling that that might get worse. It depends who's actually making decisions. Because if there is a powerful cabal running things, which is what the QAnon people say. But if it is, they're running them because Trump's involved in it. And if that's the case, our show here will probably eventually be banned. My book will be banned. We'll get blocked and won't have free speech. And if you don't think those things can, if you think, come on, you're being, Grandmaster J, and I'm not comparing myself to Grandmaster J, don't get that wrong. I'm just saying Grandmaster J, a prime example of how freedom of speech can be taken away. Just something to think about. I love y'all. Have a blessed Mother's Day. I'm hopeful that I'm not back on until Monday night. But if something happens, we will be. And we're going to be monitoring the flight tracker, keeping track of where the Russian doomsday planes are. You wouldn't think that they would bomb the day before. They would drop nuclear bombs the day before their victory parade, but because the doomsday plane, Putin and the top officials, they bug out in case there's a counterattack against Moscow. They'll be safe in bunkers under the Ural Mountains. So we watch for that stuff, and those planes do a lot of practices, just like our doomsday planes are doing now in the United States, and we monitor all that stuff. If something happens, I'll be on telling you about it as quick as I possibly can, and as soon as I can confirm as much as I can confirm. So hit the notification bell. If you're on one of the other platforms, come on over here to YouTube and hit the subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we're on. It's a dark world. It keeps getting darker. And I sure hope that turns around soon. I sure hope that turns around soon. I love you all. Shalom. Blessings upon you. Shalom. Shalom. Namaste. Peace. Peace.